Well, praise the Lord, everybody. This is Bishop Michael Anthony. Welcome to Heart of the City, where we get clarity, connection, and community. Tonight, I'm excited as we get ready to air our next episode of Heart of the City here in the great city of Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Listen, tonight I'm real excited tonight because this is one of my sons in the ministry, but I'm more excited because I got the opportunity to watch all that he experienced, all that he went through to get where he is right now. And so those of you that are watching us now, get somebody in your family to watch this broadcast tonight because go get something that's going to help you. And what we plan to do with Heart of the City is our hope is to make people aware of some of the good things that are taking place here. We want you to be able to share this with everybody that you can. I need you to share this broadcast. I need you to let everybody know that we have some real special guests coming on, and also leave as many comments as you can in the comment section. We want to hear what you have to say. All right. Well, tonight, my guest tonight is none other than Kareese Foster. He is the founder of a nonprofit called M.A.D.E, Making a Difference Economically. What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Just, glad to be sitting here
I promise you,
talking to the people.
I promise you, this is going to be comical tonight because we do this all the time. This is not unnatural for us to be somewhere talking.
No, not at all.
We either in the barbershop, on the phone, church, somewhere.
Always talking.
Always
Either
talking.
early in the morning or in the barbershop.
Yeah, well, I'm allowed to call you early in the morning.
Oh, that's not my
I'm
problem.
not gonna,
You've been doing that as long as I've known you, since 05.
I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. But listen, tonight, I brought you on because you're doing some real powerful things in this city, and let me just say, I'm really proud of you, of who you are, what you become. It's something when you see somebody start from scratch. A lot of people can talk about your negatives, can talk about what you were. Most people can bring up where you came from, but not everybody has the privilege of watching the process and how you become what you have become now, because you are making a real impact in the life of people. And I'm excited about that. And you got some real exciting things that are going on in your own life. I'll give people the opportunity to say that. So listen, I want to get started real quick, and we're gonna have a simple conversation. Tell everybody about M.A.D.E first. Just tell us, what does M.A.D.E mean?
M.A.D.E means making a difference economically, and it's literally a byproduct of everything that I do in my life, me giving it back to other people, because it involves things that I had to do
Mm-hmm.
to be able to succeed, and move in a different realm of my life. So, when I was doing wrong, God pulled me from that. And then, when I started doing good, it was like, okay, these are the tools that help me be a successful man. And I realized that a lot of people that I grew up with and a lot of peers that I knew didn't have the same skills.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, God said, give it back. So I said, okay, this is how I was going to contribute to my community,
Wonderful.
by showing them, what they don't know, and showing them something that can pull them from doing things that I know a lot of people don't want to do, or a lot of people don't want to see people do.
Sure. You just said something. And we're always talking about being good men. We're always talking about being successful. We always talk about being good fathers,
Mm-hmm.
making an impact, legacy, the next generation, generational wealth, all those things. We're always talking about that. And I think one of the scriptures that always comes to mind is iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this, I might be your pastor, but you're just as much sharpening me as I've sharpened you, because there are things you know and have seen that I obviously don't know, but I have adopted some of that mindset, even with the ministry that we have, because I think it's important. I like to be around people that have, that are like-minded.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I'm a thinker. I'm a doer. and sometimes I move too fast, but that's all right. I got a plan I want to put together. We just talked about it, but you said something. You said, what is it, what it means to become a successful man.
Mhm.
Can you define that for us a little bit as it relates? What's a successful man?
Well, I think success is characterized different per individual,
Sure.
but true success for me is, family legacy, watching my kids go through college, being able to raise my kids and being in the same house with my kids, and watching them be able to supersede what I did, and also being able to be the example for them so that they didn't have to make the same mistakes that I made.
Do you think, and I'm gonna ask you another question about your journey in a minute, but you're saying things that are triggering things in my mind. Uh, what do you think the outcome would have been for your kids if you had to become who you are now?
I believe that it would have been incarceration. I believe that, and if it wasn't that, I believe that they would have made a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I know with me and my father not being there were things that I did. It was almost like there were things that I did. For instance, when my first son was born, I was in the streets, and when he was in the womb, I remember I didn't come home one night, and his mom left, and we we ain't been together since. He'd be 21 on the 22nd. And one day my mom told me, and I was like in my 30s at this point. I'm 30, my first son, I was 27. I'm late 30s, and my mom told me the reason she left my dad is because he cheated on her with another girl. And I was thinking to myself, what if my dad was there to tell me that
Mm-hmm.
before I made my mistake?
Oh yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
So now, we fast forward, and now I'm living my life. And, I watch my youngest son, Trayvon. I watched Trayvon run at nationals, I want to say June or July. And he ran with a messed up hamstring. I think he came in second or a third or something like that. But when he crossed that finish line, he was making this face. And right away, I said, man, in 1999, in the same month, I was making the same face with handcuffs on me.
Wow.
Because I was in the drug raid.
Wow.
So I literally looked at my life through my son 26 years later after I had made that mistake or that bad choice, and I was incarcerated, and they had me in a newspaper. I got receipts. They had me in the newspaper, like,
You got receipts.
yeah, they had me. I had to go to the library and dig through a whole bunch of old papers to find that picture.
Wow.
Because I wanted to verify what I was seeing was true. Now, it was a month off. It was like June, July. You know what I mean? But it was a month off. It wasn't the same day, but it still represented so much of a change, because here now my son is racing through a finish line. And after that race, we went to talk to at least 7 different colleges the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And here, 26 years ago, his father was making the same face on his way to jail for the first time.
Wow. Wow. So it would have went different if you weren't here.
It would have went
And
different
watch
if I
this.
wasn't here.
Maybe they wouldn't have got incarcerated, but
Right. That's
the wisdom that would be that was necessary to help them make better decisions would have been absent.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
They wouldn't. I can't tell them about my mistakes.
Right.
And I think as a father, one of the worst things you can do as a father is not share your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids look at you as a superhero, and you want to keep that projection. But my son looks at me like a superhero, and he knows every mistake I made.
Sure. Well, we have some of those things in common. and you've made a real impact in my own son's life, right? Justin is he's he's me to the 25th power, the 100th power, right?
I sat with him today. We
You
sat
know,
in the bank with him today.
and people don't realize this is that, when I was going through my challenges, I was in rehab. After rehab, 5 different rehabs. Justin was 2 years old, and he would have to come see me at rehabs. And completing one of those rehabs, I'd be away for 6 months, trying to get away for a year, trying to get my life together until I finally finished. My only thought, the only thing that was driving me was I did not want my son to go through what I went through without my father. Because if my father was around, I always say it like this, it's an exaggeration, but if he had just been there for 30 minutes a day to tell me something, I might have made it to a Division I school because that's how good I was. I had the gift. But I didn't have the discipline. And so I say all that because look at what's happening now. There are always choices in every individual's life, especially when we start talking about men, because we're not just talking about life now. We're not just talking about success. We're talking about what manhood looks like. I think this is real important. So look, watch this. Here goes the question. Tell us about the journey.
How far back?
Well, listen, once again, y'all, I had the privilege.
Want me to start from there?
Look, I had the privilege. Listen, I had to push up on him when he was talking trash about me.
Want me to start from there?
You go ahead and start from there.
I'll start from there. That was 05, 2005.
Man, you remember dates and everything.
Yeah, that's when I still got my plaque, my new members plaque. I still got my new members plaque.
What was the name on that plaque? Because I used to name every new member's plaque.
Don't get me to lying to you now.
He got his plaque, but he can't remember.
I'll check it out when I get home. I want to say the winner's circle, but it's so.
No, it's not the winner's circle. Winner's circle just came out.
Hey, history repeats itself.
All right, we go. But tell everybody about the journey, because in order to understand what M.A.D.E. is, we gotta talk about what made you.
Yes, sir. Well, I will say this. I always give credit where credit is due, and I always give thanks where thanks is needed. And I always told you and gave you your flowers and said, thank you for being my.
I don't want flowers.
That's so cool.
I don't want flowers.
I know you want some money, but anyway. Me too at this time, but anyway, I've always acknowledged, I've never held that from you, because when I was out there in the street and I was smoking weed and doing things I wasn't supposed to do, I remember we was on B Street, right up on the hill, right up from the center, and you pulled up on me and you told me to come visit your church, and I came to visit the church. And you start talking about the person with the gold makes the rules, and that was right around the town. That was around other things was happening, and I said, man, I ain't going back there. And somebody told you I said that, and you pulled up on me again. And you say, hey, man, I heard what you said.
Is that what I said?
That's what you said. And you offered to take me out to Shady Maple on a Saturday. And we went out to Shady Maple on a Saturday, and you said, get this ministry 6 months, and I guarantee you God will change your life.
Wow.
And I listened to that. Now, I didn't know that I was going to go through all the challenges that I went through.
Yeah, we didn't see it.
But you were right, and as I started actually changing and, trying to find a better way, I had one foot in the church and I had one foot in the street. I was singing in the choir. Rest in peace, Mom Sheila. She told me I had a beautiful voice. I know she answered to God. You had to answer to God for that one, Mom Sheila. But I had one foot in and one foot out, and God was like, nah, and that's when I got jammed up. Mm-hmm. And the first person I called when I got jammed up was you. And that's a statement within itself, that you were the first person that I called, And I think one of the things that in that process is I came to church. I remember that them Sundays, and I was broken down because I was looking at the rest of my life in prison, and I was I
You
was
in trouble, cuz.
I was in trouble.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. And I was breaking down, man. And it was in those moments you was like, you talking about me, sit up front. I need you to minister on New Year's Eve, rap. So instead of what a traditional church would do, which would sit you in the back, you a bad guy, you sinned, you elevated me. You said, nah, come on. And that went a long way. And that's how I deal with people today, too, because I don't put judgment on people. I don't look at people when they do wrong as bad. I look at that as a chance to be able to elevate them in the area of their success.
Sure.
Because a lot of times we can see in people what they don't see in themselves.
Absolutely.
I went away. That was some of the journey.
The journey. So now you ready to tell me about
the process. Yes.
Okay.
I went away. I went away for 3 years in a federal institution, and I got around some real strong men. And, I'll never forget my man Kev. He from Jersey. We used to meet each other at Bethany all the time. We used to go to Bethany all the time. And Kev said, yo, man, you know who Bishop David Evans is? I said, yeah, that's my pastor's bishop, pastor at the time. That's my pastor's pastor.
That's my fault.
He said, yo, you can listen to him on Sundays on this station. I said, yeah. So he put me on to the station, man. I remember I used to, you could only hear it at one spot on the whole compound in the jail. So rain, sleet, or snow, I was standing in that one spot because I needed to hear a word from this man.
Sure.
It just, that process was, that whole experience being away, I call it the wilderness experience.
Sure.
Because I was looking at 40 years, and I did 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Israelites were supposed to be in the wilderness for 3 days. They ended up there for 40. You see the parallels?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I call that Yale for me because that's where my growth happened. My spiritual growth.
Yale.
Jail was Yale.
I get it.
I was with people that we're not with on an everyday basis.
So are you telling me that we have to, sometimes a person from the outside looking in might not be able to identify when God is really working?
Yes.
And from the outside looking in, everybody's thinking, yo, this guy,
right,
is he's in trouble, 3 years, so forth and so on,
right? Because
nobody sees what's going on
in the inside,
behind closed doors.
No, and speaking of that, not to say that I wasn't scared that I was about to go away for the rest of my life. That would be a lie. But I also knew God was working in that process because he kept showing up. And I remember my mom called me and she was upset. She said, 40 years. I said, Mom. And it was at that moment I became a minister. Because I said, Mom, God didn't tell me I was going to do 40 years. And I could feel my mom's energy shift. At that moment, her energy shift. I knew through the grace of God that I wasn't going away for 40 years.
So you recognize God working in your life
in the middle of my story.
And you just said something I think is very powerful. You just said it was at that time I became a minister, not at that title.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It was at that time, and I knew it. And I remember I was on my knees and I was praying to God. I said, look, whatever's going to happen to me, my kids are yours. Mm-hmm. And I surrendered my kids to God. And, while I was in there, I believe that experience for me was it needed to happen, because I watched God actually take my kids. I remember me and a Muslim brother was talking, we was doing landscaping, and there was a church on the compound because it was a military base. So there was a church there,
Fort Dix.
and and they watched kids. That's where Diddy at right now. And they watched the kids there, and I remember, and I said to the guy, I said, "That's where I want my kid to go to school. I want him to go to a Christian school." I can't make this up. The same day I went in for lunch, I called my son in Florida, and his mom said, I forgot to tell you. So at the time, she was saying that she might have to, he might not be able to continue going to a Christian school. He might not continue to be able to go because she couldn't afford it. Well,
Wow.
that conversation happened. And then when I went in, I called and she was like, "Oh, I meant to tell you, the school said he belongs here. This is where he needs to be." And they covered his whole
Wow.
tuition.
So so the Lord's hand just started moving.
It's been moving.
You in Fort Dix thinking about a thing,
Mm-hmm.
which means you was actually praying about a thing.
Yes.
And God was moving on it at the same time.
And God was moving on at the same time. I mean, I earned the title Jesus' little brother in jail. Cause God was doing some wonderful things in my life while I was in jail.
Wow.
And nobody, like you said, from the outside looking in, you wouldn't think that. But in all reality, that experience was probably the best thing that happened in my life at that time. And it was needed for me. Somebody said something to me in jail and it really stuck with me. They said, if you don't get your act together, and he wasn't directly talking to me, he was talking to a set of people.
Okay.
But he said, if you don't get your act together, you're going to grow to a point where your kids are going to be telling you what you need to do.
Wow.
And I was like, that hit me a different way because I was like,
hit me a different
yeah.
way. I mean, hold up.
I never want to be in that situation, but then I realized that my experience, in there, and in there, that's where God gave me my calling. That's what God showed me, being in a situation like that and having the ability to look into your situation. Sure. What I seen and what God was showing me very, very high was that the next generation in my family coming behind me was all boys. My Uncle Victor had boys. Keisha had boys. Kendra had a boy. Everybody, it was all boys. And I said, okay, God, well, why are you showing me
They're going to become men.
They're going to become men. But there was nobody to lead them.
Wow.
All the men we either in jail.
So you picked up that burden behind the wall. That's
what changed my life. And I wrote my sister a letter. I said, I know what God purposed me to do.
I was just ready to ask you, do you think that that specific moment right there, purpose was introduced to you?
Yes. Yep. And then once it was introduced, things started to agitate me, like the ratio of black males going to jail, and then what really confirmed it is when I came home. Because at that time, I thought it was about just my family, and then TD Jakes, he had this thing called Emotions, and he was talking about, how God created woman to be our helpmate, and, respectfully they leading, but that's not how it was designed, and it put a burden on their back that they wasn't designed to carry. I started looking at my grandmoms, my great aunts. I started looking at these people that were actually carrying this burden. Oh, wow. And I started to understand why alcohol was a decision. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I said, okay, I understand what I'm supposed to do. And when I came home, I'll never forget it. I went to Trayvon's daycare to pick him up, and the teacher out of nowhere said, do you know the last 3 schools that I taught at were 80% male? I jumped back. I said, this ain't just about my family.
Right.
God's calling me to men.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And, I tell people all the time, you ain't got to be perfect, but answer that call. Whatever, I tell people, whatever bothers you the most is probably what you're purposed to do.
Perfection is overrated.
Yes.
And here's the difficult thing. I think I'm going church now with with the church, if you would, or religion. I don't want to say the church because the church wouldn't act like this, but religion and tradition, things of that nature. Is we throw the baby out with the bath.
Mm.
You know, you have to be able to let the Holy Spirit do something.
Mm.
I always say this, that if perfection was a prerequisite for blessing, then none of us stand a chance.
Correct.
Now, if you can't handle my humanity, then guess what? That means you can't handle your own.
Exactly.
So you're right. The perfection is not what God is calling. He wants somebody willing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what happened for you was you picked up on the burden.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You picked up on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've been you know, you had an opportunity to come do some things with us, and we shared that moment. But one of the things I love to tell young people is that, you know, what problem are you here to solve?
Right.
Because if we can identify what problem you're here to solve, then we can start to help you put together a path, a strategy, a plan, even education if necessary at whatever level to be able to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you find a problem that you want to solve, you will have passion for what you do.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And even a problem has purpose.
Absolutely.
The purpose of a problem is for somebody to solve it.
Absolutely.
So we can't get away. We can't get away from that. There's a lot of people and there's a lot of problems in the world, and there's a lot of people in the grave that were put here to solve them.
Sure.
Some people set out to do it. Some people don't. You know, and for me, it wasn't an option. I didn't want to. I want to come back home, and nobody wants to come home and be holy roly. I want to come back home. You know, I didn't necessarily want to sell drugs, but I want to go to the club.
You was trying to get to
I
Florida.
was trying to go to Florida. Hey, all of that. That's part of it. I'm going to get to that.
But
you know, so in that wilderness experience, there was a lot of growth. I still got brothers that I'm very tight with, you know, that still hold me accountable. You know, I watched my brother, Bishop Michael Barrett. I watched his brother, he bishop now. I watched him walk out that prison. He did 15 years. And I watched him walk out. He got sent to California. He went to the California Federal Institution, and he would send letters. Like, I watched him go on furloughs just to preach. I watched him preach at the warden's stuff. I watched him, you know, come home, and the pastor just surrendered the church to him.
wow.
I watched him surrender that and go up underneath another pastor, you know, and then, you know, when I was having a situation here, internal, a situation here, I had to go 3,000 miles to get the answers that I needed.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this.
Yeah.
You know, when I felt like there were some things that I needed to go do, but this was my home, and I didn't want the people that I love to turn their backs on me. That's
Sure.
never happened, you know, but that's what I was in fear of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he said to me, he said, and he's very effective in my life. And there's Trayvon going down there. Trayvon, that's where you going.
That's
yes,
right.
sir. He said, well, so you gonna be a bastard? Right? Right? But then he shared his story a little bit. He said, hey man, I was you know who I am. He said, I was serving underneath somebody for 2 years, and then God told me it was time to start my own church. So now he's ready to leave his church, where he is a prominent figure there that helps out, and he's saying, God's saying he needs to start his own church. You know how that goes.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And he said, when he went to the pastor, you know what the pastor said to him? I knew you should have had your own church a year ago.
Wow.
He said, but my flesh wouldn't allow you to leave.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that was deep, right? And then just so happened, because I went to visit his church, just so happens he was having a service where there was a motorcycle gang that went in the streets of Compton talking about Jesus Christ to the Crips, to the Bloods.
Okay.
You know, that's what they did. And what they was doing is they was recruiting another member from his church. So he had a public display of that, prayed over them, and did all that. So then I started to see what transition looked at. I literally broke down and cried because I was holding so much in. Because in my mind, it was, you need to do what you're gonna worry about disappointing them, or you gonna worry about disappointing God.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And that was the battle that I was having with myself. And I'm like, so I broke down because I'm like, God, you had to bring me 3,000 miles to see this? Now, I don't know, or correct me, I don't know if I'm always aware when God's doing something.
Not me.
No?
No, I gotta be honest.
It's because I always know when I'm going through some real tough time, God's
No.
shaking something up.
Well, for you, he has to shake something up.
Right.
But watch this though. But no, and for any of us, there's certain things that he has to do to kind of get our attention. I don't know I don't always know what he's doing. Sometimes I'm in the middle of something. I'm trying to figure out, why is this going on now? I oftentimes don't find out why it was necessary until I get to the next phase.
No. Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too. But I'm asking the same question in a different way in the process. All right, what's going on now?
Okay.
But I know something's going on. That's the thing.
Okay.
I know it's
All
going.
right. Okay.
I don't have the answer at the time. I don't have the answer why I'm going through what I'm going through now. But I know every time I'm going through something, when I come out to the next phase, I'm bigger and I'm better.
Sure.
You know, and that conversation I had with Bishop Michael Barrett was confirmed because you ended up calling me maybe a month later.
I did.
Yes, you called me about a month later.
Broke clock is right twice a day.
Right. I was on my way to Wilkes-Barre with my other son. I was on my way up there with him, and you basically had this release conversation with me.
I did.
Yes.
Okay.
You did.
Ladies and gentlemen, your boy.
The problem is I ain't going nowhere. The problem is I ain't going nowhere. I'm like, because and you had that with me, and it was a very thorough conversation, and it brought a lot of things into perspective for me.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And that's another topic because I can go on for days about that. But you know, where we at? We're in the process. So
well, the process was Fort Dix.
The process was Fort Dix. Yeah, and no, because it was Fort Dix, yes, but it was Fort Dix, but now it's coming home.
Right.
Now, everything that you learned and everything that God shows you, are you going to be obedient and go ahead and try to apply it?
Let me say this to you. This is why I say I had the opportunity to watch this and see what God does. You know, and I appreciate that you say I was there and this, that, and the third. But really, the privilege of observing a transformation, because God doesn't always let everybody see the details of transformation. Right. So I say all that because way back burger.
Mm-hmm.
You see
way
what I'm
back
saying?
Burgers. Praising God right here. I'm still mad at the whole church that they took that spot from me. It messed my life up. When my praise got messed up, things got messed up.
I'm saying. But it was way back burger.
It was way back burger.
Okay.
It was way back burger.
Because you said the process coming home.
Yes.
And all that.
Well, that's where, you know, another thing before I went away was, again, I had a foot in, a foot out. Jasmine, we graduated together, me and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
We've always known each other. We've always been friends. But she moved to Florida. She was going for 11, 12 years. And in the middle of my storm, she had found me on MySpace. She's going to deny that. But she found me on MySpace. And she told me...
Jazz, I need receipts.
She told me she was coming to town. You know, at this time, Alicia's pregnant with Trayvon. I'm with Alicia, and I'm fighting 40 years. I'm fighting for my life.
Mm.
I don't tell Jasmine any of that because I had another thing in mind
I understand.
when she came, right?
Uh-huh.
So May comes around, Trayvon's born, and you probably don't remember this, but the doctors were saying he's not even gonna survive because he swallowed his poop. So now I'm looking at 40 years, and there's a chance that my son might die.
You know, you are bringing up stuff that I absolutely do not remember. I mean, I want to say, okay, I remember that, but I did not remember that. I remember Zoe's challenge,
Right.
but I did not remember that.
Yeah. He swallowed his poop. The doctor said that he wasn't going, and I remember I laid hands on him and prayed. And I remember from that point on, I had to be quiet because when he knew my presence was in the room, he got more excited.
Now, help me with timeline here, because
Trayvon's 19.
but listen, were you out of Yale
With Trayvon?
when Trayvon came on the scene?
No, I
It was
caught my
before.
case while she was pregnant with Trayvon.
Okay, all right. So
Right.
we're still in,
Right.
but
We're
on-
still in court. We're still.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in trouble. He's born.
okay.
You know. I went when Trayvon turned 1. He turned 1 on the 8th. I went in on the 9th
Wow.
of that next year. So
Wow.
when he was 1, I went away. But Jasmine found me on social media on MySpace at the time. Well, he was born, and I remember I was on the computer again late night. Jasmine hit me up again. Hey, I'm not gonna be able to come, and because my brother was in a bad car accident, he might not survive.
Wow.
So now she got a brother that might not survive, and she don't even know I got a son in the hospital right now that the doctors are saying might not survive.
Wow.
We going through the same experience, and I can't tell her because I had why you ain't tell me you had a kid in the first time we talked. I left it alone. I ain't even tell her I would have 40 years, looking at 40 years. I didn't say none of that.
Right.
You know, so that was the last time I talked to Jasmine until I went away and came home. When I came home, she found me on Facebook. She don't deny that.
So we done transitioned from MySpace
To Facebook.
Facebook.
Yes, sir. And, you know, I told Jasmine that I was interested, but I told her I was scared. I said, I just came home. I don't have nothing.
You said that to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Because most men, we're not really honest about what we feel.
That's why she fell in love with me.
Wow.
I said, I can't offer you nothing. I ain't got nothing. You know, I said, I ain't got nothing but what God showed me. And then I started telling her what God showed me. So what happened is, as soon as I touched foot at home,
Hold on. Whole house free. So
whole house freeze.
so you told her you ain't got nothing, but you started sharing your vision.
Yes.
And when you started to share your vision,
It was easy for her to latch onto it because as soon as I came home, she started seeing what I was saying was happening at a rapid pace.
wow.
It just started happening, you know. So
But she was around when you were at Waybackburg. Now,
yes, sir.
Okay, so and then
She was
saw-
around from the moment I came home. I was in the halfway house.
because and even from you staying there at your grandmother's.
Yes, sir. She was there. She was there before I got the job at Waybacks. Jasmine was there.
So ladies that may be watching this, you gotta have if you are connecting with a man who may not have what you want at the moment, but he has a vision. Now, he gotta have a vision, and this
That's
got to be a
powered by God.
reality. He gotta have something, right? A vision. You can wait that out with him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not only did she wait it out, Jasmine owned her house in Florida. It was already bought. I had to tell her I can't come there because God gave me a testimony for people not to see. Those were your words.
I know I caused that problem.
You know, and then I said, I have my son here too.
I caused that problem.
But I also knew if I did that, I was going to repeat life cycle. because I wasn't being obedient to God.
Mm.
There was some work that I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? You know what she said? Well, I'll sell my house and come to you.
Wow.
And she sold her house.
She was convinced.
She was convinced.
Because
Her dad said, I can't believe you're doing that. As a dad should. As a dad should.
Right.
You know, but she was convinced. She sold her house. I was still in my grandmom's attic. And I remember I said, God, don't embarrass me. Please don't embarrass me. It was the last 30 days I found a spot right down there on Farmington Avenue.
I remember that.
I found that spot.
I remember that.
And
You
I
were
went
the
in there.
apartment complex.
Yep.
Right? Yep.
I went in there. I said, listen, I only got $50 left. That's how much the application costs. I said, I'm a convicted felon and my wife just did a short sale. If you ain't gonna give me this spot, please just don't even take my $50. And the guy said, man, I got in trouble before. I was cupping some weed. He didn't understand the severity of what I was saying. But he said, long story short, he gave me the spot. And I knew, and I'm sure she knows that was the right move. I mean, look at our wedding. Everything fell in place the way it's supposed to. Look at our life now.
Sure.
Everything fell in place the way it was supposed to do because of my obedience.
And you endured a process.
I endured a process. Yes, yes.
Wow.
So in that process, you know, God started to elevate me in every area of my life. He started to elevate me in ministry. Now, you don't know this, but I had inspired while I was in prison to be able to perform on Bishop David Evans' stage.
Okay.
Right? Right? Because there was one thing that he kept saying, and then you kept saying, and then you, I don't know if you ever knew this neither, for me to come home and you was like, yo, you're going to Bishop Evans' M.A.D.E class. You remember that? This is somebody, you don't know this, but this is somebody that was listening to this man every Sunday, rain, sleet, or snow. Now I'm coming home, and God is telling you to tell me you're getting ready to go to class and sit right there with that guy.
With that guy.
With that guy.
And then it was in person.
Yeah, it was in person. Yeah, 3 years I did that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So 3 years, I couldn't get enough of that because my mind was blown at how much God was doing and how much things were coming together.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So in that obedience and in that process, I became a minister. You licensed me. My business was activated. I started working the business and doing what I had to do there. And, you know, and God kept elevating me. Now I'm at a different place now, and it's a great place because it's another testimony, another learning experience. You know, we're going to grow out of that. We're going to be better. But at the end of the day, or then I get to this place in business, finances, my family, everybody's doing good. Like I said, my successes and my children are doing great. And I said, okay, God, now they didn't see the testimony. Now what? And God said, give back. And that's when M.A.D.E was born. Because right away he said M.A.D.E, making a difference economically. And my mind went to real estate first.
Okay.
My mind went to collective economics, getting everybody together. They're going to gentrify. Let's just go buy this stuff ourselves.
Sure.
That's where my mind went.
Sure.
You know, then it was like, okay, economics got to do with entrepreneurship, real estate.
Everything you thought.
Everything.
Except the avenue, the tool that was going to be used was what you're doing.
What I'm doing now.
Sure.
Right. So, and it was everything I was already doing.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'm going to give back what I know. And I paid a lot of money to get to where I was at because I had to learn.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Along with the sacrifice was a lot of money, you know, to learn.
Sure.
But I grew relationships with the people that were teaching me.
Sure.
So I said, okay, I can bring some of these people in and teach in this nonprofit entrepreneurship, credit. I could bring these people in to teach my people the same thing.
Sure.
You know, and that was how I was like, all right, this is how I'm gonna give back. And then guess what? If it wasn't for the old head Doc, remember Doc, the twin, Derek Doctor?
Yes.
Derek Doctor.
Yes.
God rest his soul. That was my man right there.
Yes.
Derek Doctor, I was running around looking for somebody that I grew up with, and I was going to kill him. because he gave me some bad stuff, and it was a lot. Derek Doctor pulled me over on Franklin Street. Yo, he's running. Yo. He said, yo, you need a job? Yeah. He said, fill out this application. And he put people on there that was dead in jail, said I worked for him. Got me my first job building a Boscov's warehouse.
Wow.
Right? Now, I only lasted a week when they figured out I didn't know what I was doing.
Now, see, I actually thought you got the skill of building while you were.
No.
I didn't see.
No.
That's why people need to know
Right.
what this thing looks like, what the transformation really looks like, because most people when you're serving God.
What I did in there is I built the business plan to come out and use the skill that I had.
Okay.
I knew with my record.
Is that the vision?
Huh?
When you built the business plan, is that the vision? Do we
Yes.
call that the vision?
That's the vision.
Okay.
The business plan was the vision. It was, I'm gonna create my own economy, because these people were not gonna pay me the kind of money that I need to have a successful life given my record. So I gotta start my own business. And I got my Selly's still friends with me. We still friends. He's so proud of me because he down to Carolinas. He's so proud of me. He's like, man, you really did it. Cause he seen me in that room, like, man, you better start that business when you get home. I'm gonna smack you in the back of the head because I spent so much time working on this business while I was away. This didn't just happen overnight.
Sure.
It was a lot of work I put into this.
Sure.
To make sure when I came home, I was never going back. And so it was.
Kareese, wait a minute for a moment and watch this. This is going to air for a little bit. This is going to be two parts of this thing because I'm not going to get off of it tonight. You're telling me that you spent that much time putting together a business plan, and the reason why is because you didn't want to go back.
Yes.
So without a vision, my people perish.
Yes.
So you while I'm working on this thing, while I'm playing in the sand with the blocks, look like I'm just make pretend.
Mm-hmm.
God is going to put some flesh on this thing.
Yes.
I hear you.
Yes.
I hear you.
That's exactly it. Some of the guys, you got two decisions to make in there. You can live how you used to live in the street, or you could decide to do better.
Sure.
And some of the guys were like, yo, man, this guy's extra. Talk about me, right? Because they didn't understand. I mean, because when I was in there, I worked on that business plan, but I worked the landscaping detail the whole time.
Okay.
I took horticulture. I got certifications in there for horticulture, all of that. Because before I went away, I ended up with a whole development contract. I didn't even have a lawnmower. And I gave it to my friends. And they were paying me 10% while I was in there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I said
10%, huh?
10%.
Okay.
And I remember that was Ron and Trina, Ernest's sister. It was their development. They were coming out. And I remember sitting in front of their house when they lived here. And I just laughed. And I said, man, God, you waited till now to show me what I could have been doing.
Wow.
So from that moment on, I had intent. When I went in there, I knew I wasn't coming back out. I went in there. I was in there with Fortune 500 company. Me and Wesley Snipes, we ate breakfast together every morning for months and talk. We developed a relationship. The top consultant for J.C. Penney, Woolworth, that's how old he was. Flakes in his hair, walk like this. Nobody paid attention to him. I sat with this guy all the time. Mark Lay, shout out to Mark Lay. Mark Lay was a top financial advisor on the stock market. He looked at my business plan. He looked at my projection. He laughed. He said, man, nobody makes $200,000 a year in the first year. They make it, but they don't show it. You need to change this. You know what I'm saying?
So he gave you wisdom.
He gave me wisdom, and he showed me what to do. He said, you always operate in the negative because you ain't going to pay taxes on all that. You know what I'm saying? So he wrote it. He showed me what to do. All these people, I started to glean from. Mm-hmm. I started to glean from, and it made me a better person.
Let me say this to you. There's a scripture I love, and we've been tossing this thing around. Our ministry represents I want to say going from rags to riches,
Mm-hmm.
because I look at the fruit of the people in this place.
Mm-hmm.
We live by that. Give God in this place 6 months, but pay attention to this: the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just.
For the just.
But also, the reality is, you not only had prayer, but you had work. You had the work of this thing. The
Yes.
scripture I love now is, the children of the world seem to be wiser than the children of light,
Mm. Yes.
right? Because we still in prayer, but prayer is not in the success equation. Let me say that again.
Yeah,
Let
we got a big debate about
we-
this over here in
I
Bible
understand.
study.
Listen, prayer is not in this. Listen, prayer is not in the success equation. Prayer is in the revelation equation.
I agree.
Work is in the
success
success
equation.
equation.
I agree.
Because listen, there are plenty of folk that are still broke that been praying.
Mm-hmm.
So prayer is not in the success equation. If prayer alone was in the success equation, then it would happen.
What you talking to God about? What he already equipped you with?
Listen, he already said, I've given you a covenant that connects you to wealth,
Yes.
right? So prayer is not in the success equation. Work is. Every time you look at somebody successful in that Bible, they were doing something. And the same year that Isaac sowed,
Right.
he reaped.
Mm-hmm.
So reaping is the work. Sowing is the work.
Look at Noah
He built an ark and saved him.
in the desert.
It was work. So you mean to tell me, all right, so they're going to tell me, watch this, they're going to tell me the flood is coming. Well, I'm just going to pray.
You going to
Right?
drown.
I'm going to pray. Listen, they get ready. Listen, I remember this when, and my home was in foreclosure. I wasn't praying. I was trying to figure out how I'm going to keep my home.
Right.
Because I had gone through something. And listen, I mean, let me say this. Let me tell you what was driving me. One, I knew I had a lot of enemies, and I didn't want my enemies to see me fail.
Mm.
Two, I had a son, and I couldn't let him see me quit. So that drove me to try to figure out how to do this thing. So I went out and I started pastoring and working 2 other jobs just to keep my home.
Mm.
So prayer is not in the success equation. Work is.
Work is.
So you behind the wall. Prayer, writing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Doesn't Habakkuk say something about
Very in tune behind the wall.
Yeah,
I was very in tune.
in tune behind the wall.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I'm trying to tell you, I was God's favorite.
Watch this. People will say, oh, this, that, or the third, or some will even be jealous or whatever. But you don't work hard enough. You don't work at what. Watch this. First of all, it's not that you're not productive, because you're active, but you're not productive. A lot of people. But once I become productive, it means I'm active in the vision
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that God called me to.
I deserve everything I got.
Man, listen. Why not?
Exactly. I deserve everything I got. Ain't no reason to be jealous of me. I work hard.
Yes.
I work hard.
So when they see certain material things, they assume, oh, you're better, or this, that, and the third. When really, I worked for this.
Right. I work
And
for this.
So God doesn't have a problem with you having things.
Mm-mm.
It's when you worship the things that there's the problem.
Right. Right. Or mismanaged.
Sure.
You know.
All that. There's something. Maybe I shouldn't say this because you might steal it because you're a thief. But, and when he talks about the tithe, he says, I will rebuke the devourer for your sake.
Mm.
But he never says, I'll rebuke your bad decisions. In other words, he'll stop the enemy from violating you,
Mm-hmm.
but he'll never interfere with your decision making.
That's true.
He'll always leave you with the choice. Behold, I set before you
Mm-hmm.
a choice.
Mm-hmm. And that's why he's an awesome guy. Because if it was any way different, we'd just be robots.
Sure.
Controlled by what he tells us to do.
Yeah. So tell us, M.A.D.E. What's
M.A.D.E.
happening with M.A.D.E.?
So right now what's happening is we just had a meeting, and we got a cohort coming up this month.
Explain the cohort. I mean,
A cohort.
yes.
So a cohort right now runs 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
It costs us around $7,000 to run a cohort.
Okay.
That's material, pre-apprenticeships, all those type of things.
Okay.
We typically take about 5 people. We'll run 5 to 10. We've been doing 5, and that's 7, but we have some material now. We might can run 10.
Are you running it with? I know sometimes you get men. Are you getting young men? Are you getting men, women? How's that work?
We do all ages.
Okay.
But we don't put the men with the young men.
Okay.
If we're going to do like this cohort here will be high school.
Okay.
I believe. Don't quote me on that. I believe, because I believe. Don't quote me on that. I got a couple of people in here that they kids. I don't think they're in high school. I know they didn't, they hit me up. But what happens at the cohort is it's 85% hands-on. And then the other 15%, they do the work on a computer at home.
Wow.
That's how they get their pre-apprenticeship.
Okay.
If they can't finish that work, then they can't get their pre-apprenticeship. And the pre-apprenticeship comes from HBI, Home Builders Institute.
Okay.
So it's an official pre-apprenticeship, and it sets you up for any apprenticeship.
Okay.
So what we're doing now with M.A.D.E is we're trying to build the organization where you don't have to leave this organization after your pre-apprenticeship. We want to make it from 10 weeks to 2 years.
Okay.
Because in that 2 years, now you can
You want
actually.
to be Lincoln Tech.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
At a discounted rate.
I get it.
Right? Yes,
Sure.
sir. Right now, with everything going on as far as the housing crisis, some of the bills that have been paid, it's a lot harder now to get funding to run the program. So you're going to see me showing my face a little more, reaching out, asking for donations, asking for sponsorships. I would ask the churches at large, if every member gave, we all have a responsibility. And to me, I strongly believe what I'm doing right now, I believe actually provides an opportunity for everybody.
Sure. Well, let me validate that for you. And I won't, say nothing less, but I had the opportunity to bring you up to a community center because I'm also, I also work in another field, and we were able to maximize what we do from, my nonprofit
Right.
and what we did together, and what I do from the occupation standpoint. And I saw what you do with the kids. We called it Tools for Tomorrow, I thought it was.
Yes. Yep.
And I saw what it is. You know what I mean? And what I saw was, I was a little jealous because you said something. I was a little jealous. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was a little salty. I was like, so you telling them that teaching them how to put up a ceiling fan, they get $75 a ceiling fan.
Right.
And I thought to myself, you never once showed me how to put up a ceiling fan.
Right. I told her, do 10 of them a week.
This ninja right here never once gave me the opportunity. Show me how to do it. But nobody lets me pick up a hammer or nails or anything. They don't let me do it. They just don't, because I'll tear something up, I'm sure. But I've seen what you've done. I've seen what you've been doing. I saw that. And that was very powerful because the kids, they thought, well, I can just pick this drill up. I was watching the race with putting the screws into the wood.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's going to be easy as 1, 2, 3. But guess what? It took some skill.
Mm-hmm.
And watch this. For some, they slowed down, understood the form, and got it together. For some, they thought, well, I'm just going to rush through it. But it's not as easy as it looks, right? But it began to ignite some,
The young man that one, he reached out to me.
Sure.
He friend requested me. I'm going to reach out to him to see if he want to come to this program. A lot of people told me he would be a good candidate.
Okay.
For the program.
Now, traditionally, ideally, how many cohorts would you like to do a year?
I would like to do 4.
4 cohorts.
4 cohorts a year.
One each cohort.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. 4-year will be great. Now we're starting one this month, but we're also starting a landscaping cohort
Okay.
in March. Now that cohort is going to be, I'm not sure what the price is going to be, but it's going to be a little costly, and it's going to be for men that are ready to work.
Okay.
Because with that cohort, I know that I can get you trained, and I can funnel you to B&B. I can funnel you to Kingdom Landscaping. I can funnel you to Good Brothers, and they'll get the opportunity to go out there, and they can go out there for a month as an intern, and then they can come right onto that job.
Okay.
And they can start $15 to $20 an hour.
Right.
Working
especially
for.
If you just start, especially if you just start to get on your feet.
If you're starting to, you know what I mean? Or especially you guys coming out of high school right now. That may not be going to college.
Because you have to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
And not every kid is going to college.
Exactly.
Not every kid is going to college. And while we're here, parents, something you may want to consider while you're pressuring your child to go into an atmosphere that's absolutely not for them, you're putting them in places and spaces where they're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Find out. Once again, we're back to what
I would encourage.
What problem do you want to solve? There we go.
I would encourage the parents to. If I was having a conversation with the parents, I'm having a conversation with the parents right now. This program ain't about me. This program, what's out there right now, what's being provided, that's the very thing that changed my life, and it changed my financial stability. And what we're offering this not because I want any type of clout or anything like that. We're offering this out of pure generosity and pure God-given driven purpose.
Okay.
And I would encourage parents, pull your son by the ear. Make them come to this class. Provide them.
Women come?
Your son or your daughter.
Or your daughter.
Yes, sir.
Because I got to admit,
the women been the best
Kareese,
so far.
I'm going to admit something right now on national TV. I'm going to admit that if something needs to get fixed in my house, I bought my wife a pink tool belt. And if somebody going to do it, she going to do it.
Listen, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
With her nails done.
Listen, some of the best employees I had were women. You know why? Because they pay attention to the details.
Wow.
They pay attention to the details, and they might be slow at first because they're paying so much attention to the details, but then when they got it, they're fast and they're efficient. Versus male, we try to hurry up. We ain't pay attention to hey, yo, you skipped that all the way over there. And part of my training process, if you miss the tree 2 miles away, I'm going to let you miss it. And I'm going to make you walk 2 miles to go get it because in my mind, you ain't going to never miss that tree again.
Right.
Because you ain't going to worry.
We learn differently.
Right. We learn differently.
Sure.
So that women have been, some of the greatest experiences, even in the M.A.D.E class. It's just that attention to detail that they have that, we as men lack.
A single mother, kids at home. Let me just use the ceiling fan as an example.
Mm-hmm.
She got to put the ceiling fan up. How much money does she save knowing how to do some of the simple things in the house by herself? Just because M.A.D.E.
Man, women call me up and say, can you hang curtains? You say, and I'm $10 a window. If you call me to hang your curtain, I'm $10 a window.
See, that's what I'm jealous
You
about.
hang a ceiling fan, I'm $150.
So if you call me for prayer, I'm saying $12 a prayer.
150, don't do that. $150, I'm going to charge you to hang that.
No, I'm only joking.
I'm going to charge $150 to hang your ceiling fan up. And there are things that you actually can do.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. And we great close out in a couple minutes, but you keep changing the price.
That's what I told the kid because they just getting started.
$75 was up there, now it's $150.
It's $75 for them. They ain't got no overhead. I got insurance. I got trucks.
Huge. That went way up.
Man, if I gotta get in my truck and come to your house, that costs money. It costs a lot more money than that kid that I told $75. He putting all that in his pocket.
Tell everybody.
He ain't even gonna give his mom gas for giving him a ride there. Scared.
Something wrong with you. But I know that already. I'm your pastor, something wrong with me. But listen, tell everybody how do we connect? It's on the bottom of the screen, but also just let everybody know and to somebody that's getting ready, that's trying to make this comeback. Give them a few words here at the end, man. So because I think it's important. And
let me give them words first, and then I'll tell them where to go.
Okay.
I will say this: the one thing that has stood out for me in my life and most of the people that I've talked to, including you, the thing that really determines the change that you're going to make is purpose. It's purpose.
Sure.
It ain't going to be your kids. It ain't going to be your good job. Because if it was all that, we wouldn't did the things that we was doing. We had kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What changed your life was purpose.
Absolutely.
You had this that you needed to attend to.
And
it
you
became
have to
more
attend to it.
Right. And it became more important than the things that you were doing.
Absolutely.
And when that happens, the things that you don't want to do, they fall off eventually.
Absolutely.
Because you're so focused on doing what God has assigned you to do, you know, that stuff, it can't come with you no more. Cigarettes couldn't come with me no more. You don't even remember I smoked cigarettes. You just told me that. I'm like, man, I had to put the cigarette out. You ain't got to put it out. I smoked a pack and a half a day. But look what God did. You don't even know.
Man, my spidey senses is off, man.
That's right. That's right. So that's my advice, purpose. You know, and if you don't know what it is, whatever bothers you the most is probably what you're assigned to fix. That's to me, that supersedes everything. You know, as far as where to find us, you can go to info@timeformade.org.
Okay.
That's the email address. You can also email Kareese, Kareese, @timeformade.org. Or you could go to the website, and that's www.timeformade.com.
Okay. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed our guest.
I got one more thing.
Come on, tell them, man.
We are looking for sponsors, and we are looking for people to donate.
Yes.
I am holding the community accountable. $5, $2, it don't matter. You can possibly be the reason that a student in this town actually changes the course of their life. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they ain't doing what they're supposed to do and they come through me, they're going to leave doing what they're supposed to do because I've already done it. So they don't get nothing by me. They respect me, and I'm giving them something that they can build off of.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, $7,000 a cohort.
$7,000 a cohort.
Okay. And so the information is at the bottom of the screen. You just heard it. You not only heard about M.A.D.E, you heard how M.A.D.E got made.
Yes.
Right? So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight, Heart of the City. We're grateful that you're taking the time to tune in with us. Important that you understand, this is about clarity, connection, and community. Clarity, connection, and community. This is about us making us aware of what's already right in front of us. I'm Bishop Michael Anthony from Heart of the City. Peace.